Okay, so Alien Romulus aired a few days ago and I watched it, so I decided to make a tier list ranking all 7 Alien movies, including this one. First off, Alien, the first ever Alien movie, directed by Ridley Scott. This one is an S tier, straight up S tier. I mean, this movie is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. Ridley Scott set the bar so high with this one that it's kinda hard to even compare the rest. The atmosphere, the suspense, the iconic xenomorph design, and of course Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, everything just clicks perfectly. It's a classic that not only defined the sci-fi horror genre, but still holds up today. The pacing is immaculate, the tension is almost unbearable at times, and the horror is just so raw and visceral, it's crazy. And we get this thing that we don't really see the alien himself very often. We feel his presence and are constantly aware of him, but we don't see him much on the screen. It's a movie that doesn't just show you the horror, it makes you feel it. And it lived up to be a huge inspiration to many other pieces of art. I mean, Sir Ridley Scott just knows how to make revolutionary movies that define their genres for the next decades. Next, Aliens, directed by James Cameron. Not surprisingly, another S tier, no question about it. However, I will place it behind Alien. This sequel took the franchise in a different direction, blending horror with action, and it worked spectacularly. The stakes are higher, the xenomorphs are more terrifying, and we get to see a lot of them and find out how they work. Ripley becomes an even more badass character, and the introduction of the alien queen, that's fucking epic, man. Cameron knew exactly how to build on the foundations of the first film while delivering something fresh and exhilarating. It's a perfect example of how to do a sequel right. However, Alien 3 is not. Directed by David Fincher, and while Fincher is a great director, this movie had a troubled production and it shows. I'm putting it in C tier. It's not a bad... Nah, actually, I was gonna say it's not a bad movie, but it kinda is. It not only feels like a huge step down from the first two, it feels like tripping down an endless flight of stairs when you think it can't get worse, it somehow does. The tone is darker and more nihilistic, which I appreciate, but the plot feels disjointed, and some of the character decisions just don't make sense. It has its moments, and I like the concept, but the execution just doesn't quite hit the mark. And when you think it's at the worst it could be, it gets worse. Alien Resurrection, oh boy. This one's going in D tier, right at the bottom. Directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, I probably butchered that. It's a weird movie to say the least. The tone is all over the place, and the concept of cloning Ripley is just dumb, it makes no sense. And the movie itself just doesn't come together. The characters are forgettable, the humor falls flat, and the Ripley's clone relationship with Xeno, yikes. It's not unwatchable, but it's really fucking terrible. Next, Prometheus, which is the first Ridley Scott Alien movie since the original one. And this one's going in B tier. I know some people might rank it higher or maybe lower, but hear me out. Prometheus is a beautifully shot film with some fascinating ideas, exploring the origins of humanity and the engineers. However, it's also a very flawed movie. The characters make some incredibly dumb decisions, and the story raises more questions than it answers. Anyways, it develops the universe a bit, has a great cast, and opens some doors, but at the same time lets too many holes along the doors. Still, it's an ambitious movie that tries to do something different, and for that, I respect it. Then we have Alien Covenant, once again directed by Sir Ridley Scott, and I'm putting this one on B tier as well. However, I was a bit divided into putting it ahead of Prometheus or behind it. It's definitely a step up from Resurrection and Alien 3, I mean, could it even get worse than those two? But it still has a couple issues. The horror elements are back, and Michael Fassbender's performance as David in the previous and Walter in the latter is fantastic. But the plot feels a bit muddled. The movie tries to tie together the themes of Prometheus with the horror of Alien, but it doesn't succeed in the way Alien and Aliens did. That being said, it's still a solid entry with some genuinely terrifying moments, and it's visually stunning, so yeah. But to decide which one goes at the front of B tier, it's mostly up to you. If you prefer a more traditional Alien movie, Alien Covenant might be your pick. If your interest is in finding a bit more about the alien universe, its lore, mythology, and psychological questions about existence, Prometheus might be the better choice. And after thinking that for a while, I find that's my pick. I already have great movies that follow the Alien original style, so why not enjoy the lore and the history of this universe? So yeah, Prometheus at the top of B. And finally, Alien Romulus, the newest addition to the franchise. This one is going in A tier, A tier. Directed by Fede Alvarez, Romulus manages to capture the essence of what made the original Alien so great, while also adding some fresh ideas to the mix, and also involving some of the lore in the previous movies as well. It's set between Alien and Aliens, the two best movies, and the suspense is intense. The new characters are well developed, although some of them are dumb and kind of annoying, and the xenomorphs are as terrifying as ever. It's a film that respects the legacy of the franchise, while also pushing it forward in exciting ways. It's definitely not perfect, there are a few pacing issues, it feels like it ends 2 or 3 times, has a few dull moments, a few plot holes here and there, like, why didn't she use that device earlier to know if she had it inside, if you know what I mean, without spoiling anything. But overall, it's a pretty strong entry that I think will be remembered fondly by the fans. Oh, there's also a ton of fan service, so yeah, be ready for that too. The relationship between Rain and Andy is also great, and David Johnson does such an amazing job as Andy. Anyways, it's great. The dystopian themes at the start are also interesting. Overall, great movie that once again delves into what it means to survive, to evolve, and to confront the monsters around us.